Hello and welcome to Backstage at the Barbican. My name's Rachel Leach and I'm going to be with you for the next 20 minutes or so in the run-up to tonight's live streamed concert, which you can see over on YouTube at 7. And on the menu tonight, Mahler's mighty Second Symphony. So the LSO is based here at the Barbican, and right next door to us is the Guildhall School of Music and Drama. And as you can imagine, there's lots of close link-ups between the two organisations, including one strand of thought, which is free recitals in the main hall ahead of tonight's concert. And these are the guys that have just come off stage. These are postgraduate students from the Guildhall, so I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
I'm Nathan. I've just graduated from the Guildhall. I'm on the Artist Fellow course.
Hi, I'm Gary. I'm in the first year of the Piano Accompaniment Masters in Guildhall.
Hello, I'm Marina, and I'm pianist on the Advanced Diploma.
Hi, I'm Sian. I'm a soprano on the final year of the Master's Vocal Studies course.
I'm Meriel. I'm a mezzo-soprano in my final year of the Artist Masters.
They've just performed a selection of songs by Kurt Weill and Eisler and Zemlinsky. So how did it go? Who wants to step in? Go on.
Yeah. I feel like it went well. We had a good run through earlier this afternoon and it kind of went really smoothly. So I think we all felt kind of calm going into it. I think the main thing we were worried about was just making sure we had all of the words memorised and on top of it, but it seemed to go really smoothly.
And the logistics as well. Yeah. Just even coming on and off on stage, we spend so much time even practicing, we forget, who's going to go on stage first and all of these sorts of things. So
because I'm presuming that you were in pairs of singer, pianist, and then you had lots of... Do you rehearse those change-arounds?
Oh yes, definitely. We should. It's part of the
part of the whole thing.
Yeah. Professional look, I think.
And one of you sang in French, German and English.
So that was me.
So do you speak all those languages?
I do not, no.
Okay.
But I do. I use the International Phonetic Alphabet to make sure that I've got all of the pronunciation right, and then I translate every word and have a word-for-word translation and a kind of more poetic translation.
Wow. So you know what you're singing about?
Oh yeah, definitely.
And you know how it's supposed to sound?
Yes.
But
And we have coaching at Guildhall as well.
Right.
In French, German, Italian, Russian, Czech. Anything you need to sing in, there's coaching there for it.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you don't necessarily speak the language?
No. I mean, I could get by.
Yeah.
I could get by.
You could order a Coke.
Definitely, yes.
put them on the spot.
So what's next for you guys? Because you're all at different levels, aren't you? But you've just graduated. What are you up to now? What are you going to do next?
I'm doing lots of teaching. Also, I still mingle around with the other singers and musicians and play with them. I really want to do some competitions and get into some more composing and premiering some of my own work.
Wow. What's next for you?
Well, next up for me, we have some exams in Guildhall, firstly, and then outside of that, then I'm going over to Graz in Austria to compete in the Schubert Modern competition for piano and voice duo. So that's in like 2 weeks' time. So I'll be definitely going back to the practice room soon enough after this. So yeah.
Well, the first thing coming up is giving my first piano master class, solo recitals with singers.
Wow.
Next week, I'm in a production with Leicester Music Fest of Dido and Aeneas singing The Sorcerer, so that's kind of the first immediate thing I'm going straight on to next. But yeah, next year I'm staying at Guildhall to do the opera course, which is 2 years. So
2 more years?
2 more years to go.
You must love it at the Guildhall.
Yeah.
And what about you?
So coming up next, I've got at the Guildhall we're doing Dialogue of the Carmelites, Poulenc opera. So Sian and I are both in that. We're both playing nuns.
Of course.
And that's what's, yes. And that's
what you look like tonight.
Yes, exactly. Glamorous nun.
Thank you so much for talking to me, and thanks for doing your recital, and good luck with all of your stuff. So there are lots of links between the Guildhall and the LSO. There's these free recitals, and the next one's coming up in February, later on in February, and it's Elgar. And also we have a course that the organisations come together to administer. It's an orchestral artistry master's degree. So if you know anybody who wants a career in an orchestra, direct them to our website and check that one out. So let's move on to Mahler now. Earlier in the week, we spoke to academic pianist and composer David Owen Norris, and he told us about his favourite bits from this mighty symphony.
I'll pick out some of my favourite bits of Mahler's Second Symphony. In the first movement, listen to the harmonic skill that takes him from C minor to E major and then to E flat minor. C minor, Then there's a marvellous signature moment when he suddenly goes to the major key. Mahler invents a scrunchy chord to get himself back to C minor. Minor. But that's not the most famous chord in the symphony. Here's the scream. In the choral finale, Mahler takes the funeral chant, the Dies Irae, and turns it into this. And near the end, there's a marvellous piece of nature music with offstage horns and the piccolo warbling like a bird. And Mahler weaves all this together to make his great symphony. In a recent poll of conductors, it came out in the top 5 of all the symphonies that were ever composed.
So David was just talking about the off-stage instruments that come towards the end of the symphony, and I'm stood exactly where they're going to be playing from tonight. Behind me, you can see the door through which most of the musicians go on stage, and I think you can see a screen, which is really, really useful. We'll find out why in a minute. And I'm joined by 2 of our off-stage players. This is Laura Bradford, and it's her first professional concert with the LSO. She was part of the LSO's Percussion Academy last summer. And this is David Elton, who is our new principal trumpet, just emigrated from Sydney, Australia. So, you're backstage. No one's going to get to see you in your first concert. How does that feel?
I mean, it's slightly disappointing, but I mean, I guess everyone will see me now on this,
Everyone will see you there.
this live stream. No, but it's very exciting to be here anyway. So.
Yeah, and this will be the first of many, I'm sure. And you'll remember this.
Yeah,
forever.
definitely.
Yeah.
I definitely can't forget it if the live stream's on anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you both dressed up. Why are you dressed up if you're just backstage?
Well, we're dressed up because the doors are going to be open during the performance, and there might be a few people that might see us.
Right, so it's just in case.
That's pretty much why, yeah.
And at the end, you don't go back on, you don't take a bow, you just leave.
I think so, yeah.
Wow.
As far as I'm aware, yeah.
And you're not on until, how far in would you say? About an hour?
I'd say it's a fair way in, yeah, at least an hour. So we've got to sit around and wait for the moment when we get started.
And what do you do for that hour?
Oh, we sit around, chat, make sure we know what's going on, have a listen to the performance, and be ready when
Just
time
be ready.
comes, yeah.
Does anybody give you like a heads up, it's time, or do you just have to...
No, I mean, we can hear what's going on stage, so
Right.
we've got cues in our music, we can follow that, make sure we know where we are, and then when the moment comes, we just play, so...
But you're a trumpet player, so how do you make sure you're warmed up, you're in tune, all of that stuff?
That's a good question, because an hour can go by, and if you haven't played, it feels quite daunting to come in on a tricky entry. We have practice mutes or things like that. There are other rooms, of course, out the back here where the musicians are warming up now.
Yeah.
So we might have a little play quietly just to make sure when the time comes, we're ready to go.
So tell me about the logistics here. What's that screen for? What are you seeing on that screen?
So this is the monitor, basically. So it's how we can see the conductor. And we also have a speaker there because it's very difficult to hear what's going on in the hall.
Oh, okay.
So from back here. So we've got the speaker and we've got the monitor so we can see the conductor, so we know what's going on when we're meant to play.
Does he look down the lens at you, or is he sort of looking at...
I don't think he does often. I mean, there are times when you are doing offstage and he might explicitly look at you, but there's so much going on. He's actually got to conduct the orchestra at the same time as our first entry. So he's often doing that, and we've got to pay attention to him like we're sitting in the orchestra.
Yeah. And is it loud back here?
It can be loud, yeah. I mean, we're playing quite loud, but the effect is, of course, that we're playing loudly in the distance. So, I mean, Mahler wrote about all these military ideas. It's the sound of a military band, but it's a military band in the distance.
Wow. So last question, and it's to you, David. How's your first month and a half, 2 months been with the LSO?
Oh, it's been fantastic. I mean, the weather hasn't been the best, of course, in London, being winter, but that's not a complaint. But playing with the orchestra has been incredible. Great soloists, incredible time with Simon Rattle starting, and it's what an amazing orchestra to play with.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for talking to me. Good luck. Don't miss that entry, whatever you do, okay? Keep your ear on it, but thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. So, tonight's symphony it started in 1888, and it took Mahler about 6 years to complete it because he was scrabbling around trying to find the perfect text for the end. The last 2 movements, there's 5 movements in all, finally we have our singers. We have the London Symphony Chorus, and we have 2 of the best Mahler singers in the world with us tonight, and they're with me now. This is Christiane Karg and Anna Larsson. So I'm going to start with you first, Anna, if that's all right. You are renowned for this repertoire. What does it mean to you?
It's amazing. For me, it was the first piece I ever sang outside Sweden, and it was with Claudia Bad and the Berlin Philharmonics.
Whoa.
So for me, it means it was always my music. I sang it like 150 times maybe around the world. Yeah.
And you're probably at the beginning of your 150 times.
Yes, I am. So Mahler 4th I did many times, also here last season.
Right.
Mahler 2nd I'm starting, so it's my I think the 3rd time now. And my debut was with Daniel Harding and with the Mahler Chamber Orchestra. So also it was really great, and I'm so much looking forward. And it can't be this piece you can't do enough, because it's so, even if it's just very little for me to sing, it is so beautiful, and it's the most important thing is just taking part of this big giant thing.
Yeah. So when do you go on stage? Are you on for the whole thing, or are you going to go on at a certain point?
This time, no. This time we go on after the first movement, because Mahler wrote himself that it should be a short pause, a couple of minutes. So we thought it's a good idea, the chorus, and we come on then, so it's naturally becoming a pause there.
That's very clever. Yeah. And where are you standing? Are you right at the front in the solo spot? Or?
No, we aren't, and I'm very happy about that, because it's very difficult because I have to blend with the chorus at the beginning. I'm just singing out of the chorus. It should not be heard extra at the beginning, and it's very difficult if you sing from the front. For you it's a bit different. It would be better your 4th movement from the front, but so we have to find a solution for everyone.
So the 4th movement, which is your song, you're going to have to sing over the orchestra.
Yeah, but we are on a box really, and we are next to the harps, kind of singing over the. It's fine. It's a great spot actually.
How do you ensure that you're still warmed up and all of that stuff? Because even going on after the first movement, there's still 10 minutes until you sing. How do you make sure you're still, ready to go?
You never know, actually.
Okay.
But now I know the music kind of in the movements before me, so I know where I can go without nobody
have a
hearing.
Little moment.
But it's it's just like you said. It's the best way is just to think of that, being a part of it, and it's such a huge thing to do this every time, and every time is really, really, really amazing.
So do you come off stage elated after having sung that triumphant ending?
It is. There is nothing you can say afterwards. You are just fulfilled.
It just changes your mood.
And I'm German, so the text is really very close to me, and it's just you can scream it out. This last thing, it's really beautiful. You should not sing in the rehearsal too much because it will really ruin your voice for the rest of the day. Wow. But one time a day you can do.
Tonight you can.
Yes.
And final question: What's this orchestra like? What do they bring to? Because you've done it so many times.
Fantastic, of course, and also with Bishkov. He is it's so organic and so easy for him. And he's such a nice man. It's really, really been a pleasure to rehearse this with this gang. Really.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for talking to us, and have a good first movement, whatever you do, and then good luck with the rest of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, we've got a lot to come, the whole of Mahler's Second Symphony with no interval. I'm going to give you a really quick guide to it in a minute, but before I do, I should just quickly flag up that we at the LSO really believe in bringing these performances to you around the world for free, but obviously there is a cost involved in that, and the London Symphony Orchestra, like many orchestras in the UK, is a registered charity. So if you're enjoying this performance, wherever you may be, and you want to see more, please consider giving us a donation. Whatever you give, small or large, I promise you will go to future events like this and will enable us to continue to bring world-class music to you wherever you are in the world. There'll be a link on the screen later on, and then later throughout the evening if you wish to donate, and we say a huge thank you for that. So, Mahler's Second Symphony, as I mentioned, was written around 1890. It took him quite a long time to finish it because of this issue of the text. It's in 5 movements, and the first movement is a kind of question: is there life after death? Mahler initially wrote a program that outlined what was going on in every movement, but then he withdrew that. However, I think it's really useful for us to refer to those simple sentences, especially if we're hearing the symphony for the first time. So the first movement, is there life after death? And there's 2 types of music, a funeral march and a hymn. The second movement is all about memories and happy times, and it's set as an Austrian Ländler, which is a kind of folk dance that came before the waltz. The third movement is a scherzo, and it laughs at the meaningless of life. And that's where we hear the cry of anguish or the shriek of death that David talked about at the piano earlier on. The fourth movement is where we hear a song from Anna Larsson. It's called Irrlicht, which also means primal light. And that's really an introduction to the final movement, which is mighty, 30 minutes long and split into 2 halves. The first half is just for orchestra, and we hear some memories of music that's gone before, and then the chorus and the 2 singers come in with this huge kind of resurrection. It's actually a kind of plea to the thought that there is life after death. And that last page of the score, the last 5 minutes, is some of the best and most uplifting music you'll ever hear. It takes 1 hour and 10 to get there, but along the way there's lots and lots to listen to. And Mahler himself said, after he heard the first performance, that he couldn't believe that he'd written it. He simply didn't know where these ideas had come from. So it all starts at 7 o'clock over on YouTube, the London Symphony Orchestra with the London Symphony Chorus, Anna Larsson, Christiane Karg, under the baton of Semyon Bishkov. If you want to watch it, you need to go over to YouTube, and I will see you for our next live stream, which is on March the 11th and features music by Schumann and Berlioz. Bye for now.